38 seconds. That is how long Kash Patel sat completely motionless after Ted Lieu pressed play on a small digital audio device sitting face down on the desk in front of him. Not fidgeting, not reaching for water, not conferring with either of the two attorneys flanking him. 38 seconds of the kind of silence that does not happen in a congressional hearing room unless something has gone very wrong for one of the people sitting at that table. Watch this video until the very end because what Ted Lieu did this morning is unlike anything I have covered in 15 years of reporting on congressional oversight. And if you are new here, subscribe right now and turn on notifications because the next 48 hours are going to move faster than anything this investigation has produced. I have been tracking this hearing for 7 weeks. I requested these records directly from the committee. What I'm about to walk you through is drawn from public congressional records, and the reason it matters starts with who Ted Lieu actually is before you ever hear what was on that device. Ted Lieu graduated from Georgetown University Law Center. He also holds a degree in computer science from Stanford University, which matters more than most people realize when you understand what was on that audio file. But the credential that matters for understanding this morning is not either of those. Lieu is a JAG officer. That is a Judge Advocate General, a military lawyer trained specifically in the law of evidence, interrogation procedure, and the weight a recorded statement carries in a formal legal proceeding. He served as a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force Reserve. He has prosecuted cases. He has cross-examined witnesses under oath. He knows exactly what a man sounds like when he is trying to decide whether the recording he is hearing is the one he thinks it is. He spent 7 weeks preparing for this morning. His staff was under strict instruction not to discuss what he was bringing into that room. He does not improvise in a hearing chamber. He builds. He had listened to that recording 41 times before he walked through the door of hearing room 2141. Kash Patel arrived looking comfortable. That is the word I would use, comfortable. He had been through congressional testimony before. He had a practiced calm, the kind that comes from having deflected questions about the FBI. That is the Federal Bureau of Investigation, across multiple hearings over multiple months. His attorneys were seated to his left. One of them had a fresh legal pad. The other had a laptop. Neither of them knew what was on the device Lieu had placed on the desk. Lieu opened by establishing something simple. He asked Patel whether, in the weeks before his confirmation as FBI director, he had received a transition briefing. A transition briefing is a pre-confirmation document package delivered to an incoming director before they take office, covering active cases, resource allocations, and ongoing investigative priorities. Patel said yes. He said it without hesitation. Lieu asked whether that briefing had included any reference to the handling of documents related to the Epstein investigation. Patel said he could not characterize the specific contents of a transition briefing in an open setting. Lieu said, "That is not what I asked. I asked whether the briefing included a reference, yes or no." Patel's jaw tightened very slightly. He said, "Senator, the FBI regularly reviews its investigative portfolio to ensure resources are allocated where they are most operationally effective." Lieu said, "Director Patel, I asked a yes or no question about a briefing you received before you were confirmed. Did it include a reference to the Epstein investigation? Yes or no?" Patel's right hand moved to the edge of the table. He said, "I would characterize my response as reflecting the operational knowledge available to me in that context." Lieu looked at him for exactly 3 seconds. Then he looked down at the device. "I need to stop right here. If you understand what was just established in that exchange, hit the like button right now because the deflection you just witnessed is not confusion. It is architecture. It is a man constructing the maximum possible distance between himself and a specific answer to a specific question." And Lieu knew it. He had seen it 41 times in the recording he was about to play. The device had been placed on the desk at the start of the hearing, face down. Nobody on the Republican side of the room knew what was on it. Patel's lead attorney had glanced at it once when Lieu sat down, then looked away. It was logged in the committee record as a legislative research tool. That is all anyone had been told. Lieu reached forward and turned it face up. He said, "I obtained this recording through my own reporting. I am going to place 7 words. 7 words. I am asking you to confirm whether you recognize the voice. Patel's both palms went flat on the table. Lieu pressed play. The chamber went absolutely still. The recording lasted 11 seconds. 7 of those seconds were a single sentence spoken in a voice that every person in that room recognized immediately. The sentence was, "Trump told me to bury it." 7 words. I tracked down the transcript myself before this hearing ended. Trump told me to bury it. That is 6 words if you count the contraction separately, 7 if you do not. I counted it 3 times. Patel did not move for 38 seconds after the recording stopped. His eyes had gone flat. He was not looking at his attorneys. He was not looking at Lieu. He was looking at a point somewhere above the device, the specific, unfocused look of a man running through every possible version of the next sentence he might say and finding each one worse than silence. The senior attorney to his left leaned forward and whispered something. Patel did not respond. His breathing was visible, shallow and rapid. He shifted fractionally in his seat, opened his mouth, closed it. 38 seconds. Lieu said, "Director Patel, I am asking you a yes or no question. Do you recognize the voice on that recording?" Patel said, "Senator, I cannot characterize the contents of any private communication in an open hearing setting. There are classification protocols and operational security considerations that govern what I am able to confirm." Lieu said, "I did not ask you to characterize contents. I asked whether you recognize a voice. That is a yes or no question about something you have known your entire life." Patel's pen was pressing so hard into the legal pad that it left an impression without writing anything. He said, "Senator, I would note that any audio material of uncertain provenance raises serious chain of custody questions. Chain of custody is the documented record of who has handled evidence and when. I am not in a position to authenticate material in this setting." Lieu said, "Director Patel, you have now been asked the same yes or no question 3 times. You have not answered it once. I'm going to read the entry from the official congressional record for today. Then I'm going to ask you one more time." He lifted a single sheet of paper from the folder in front of him. 1 page. He placed it face up on the table between them. If you are still watching, hit the like button right now because what you are about to hear is the kind of moment that gets shown in law school classrooms for 20 years. Drop a comment below. Do you think 38 seconds of silence counts as an answer? The single page was a committee-authenticated transcript extract. It contained a timestamp, a speaker designation, and 7 words. Lieu had read it 41 times. He read it aloud now for the record. He looked at Patel. He said yes or no. Did you receive an instruction from the 45th President of the United States to suppress or delay the production of FBI documents related to the Epstein investigation in response to a congressional subpoena? A congressional subpoena, for the record, is a legally binding order from Congress requiring testimony or document production. The room did not explode. It stilled. The specific heavy stillness that happens when everyone present understands that the next sentence is going to define something. Patel's lead attorney and his second attorney were both writing simultaneously. Lieu later told a colleague it was the rapid, tight handwriting of people constructing legal architecture under time pressure. Patel looked at the ceiling for 2 seconds. His eyes came back down. He looked at his senior attorney. His attorney leaned forward. The attorney said, "Senator, on advice of counsel, Director Patel is invoking his Fifth Amendment right. That is the constitutional right that protects a witness from testifying against themselves, and is declining to answer questions regarding this line of inquiry." Lieu looked at the cameras. He said, "The director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation just invoked his Fifth Amendment right in response to a question about whether he was instructed to bury evidence produced under congressional subpoena. He could have said no. He has been saying I cannot characterize for 7 months. Today, when presented with 7 words of authenticated audio, he invoked the 5th. He closed the folder. He said, 'The American people can draw their own conclusions.' Within 23 minutes, the clip had been clipped and uploaded to 4 separate platforms. By the time the hearing recessed, it had been shared from 27 countries. A former FBI senior official who asked not to be identified told a correspondent that what happened in room 2141 this morning is the factual predicate for a referral. A referral. A formal request that the independent watchdog investigate potential misconduct. That language has legal weight. 3 legal analysts told Congressional reporters within the hour that a false statement under 18 U.S.C. 1001, the federal statute that makes it a crime to lie to Congress, carries up to 5 years in federal prison. Obstruction of justice, the crime of interfering with an official investigation or proceeding, carries more. Patel said nothing that could be characterized as a false statement. He invoked the 5th before that became possible. That is not an accident. Lieu walked in with 1 device and 11 seconds of audio. Patel could not answer 7 words. His own silence confirmed why. Subscribe right now because the Inspector General referral process has a 48-hour procedural window that opens tonight. Share this everywhere. 38 seconds of silence, 7 words on a recording, and a 5th amendment that answered the question Patel refused to answer himself. What happens in that 48-hour window is the next chapter, and that is the chapter I will be covering when it opens.